So it is official. It has been about a year since I moved over here to DR, the Dominican Republic. And by the way, when I first got here, I had this entire budget in my head. I'm only gonna spend this much, okay? Now, something happens after you've been in a place for a while. You have a lot more data and information to actually say, hey, here is how much money I've actually been spending, okay? And by the way, I have spent a lot more money than I thought I was going to spend. But it's not because the cost of living is higher, it's just because I've actually wanted to spend more money. In this video, I'll cover everything, okay? I'll cover the bare necessities, and I've also covered exactly how much money I spent on things I actually just wanted to spend money on, okay? So I'll try to make this video as detailed as I possibly can. If you guys don't know me, my name is Tommy Bryson. If you do know me, well, you guys, welcome back to the channel, okay? Now, the very first thing is this, guys, all right? Now, I have something called a baseline budget. My baseline budget tells me exactly how much money I need to maintain my lifestyle where I actually am. And by the way, here in the Dominican Republic, you have these 4 or actually 6 core expenses overall, and they're gonna be shelter, utilities, groceries, transportation, and on top of that also healthcare and also fun, because you do want to have fun also. Now, my rent actually has gone down over the year. And you might say, well, how is that possible? Did they call you and offer you to actually take less money? The answer is no. You know, I get paid with US currency, and the US currency has gone up, but my rent has stayed fixed. So basically saying my rent actually went down because it takes less US dollars to pay my rent now, which is actually pretty cool. So I pay about 9,000 pesos where I actually live right now. And as you can imagine, right, that basically means that when the dollar used to be about like 55 pesos, well, 55 pesos make $1. Well, now that used to be like about like 163. But now I pay like around, I think the dollar is up like around to 56 like 30. So now I pay about $159. I'm actually paying about $4 less in rent. Is it a big deal? The answer is no, but it matters to me, and that's why I put it here. Now, this also means that the opposite could happen. If the US dollar loses value, then obviously I'm going to be paying with more US dollars to cover my rent costs, okay? So that's the first thing. By the way, what apartment do you have? I'll actually go around right now and show you a video of this messy apartment because I actually want to show you guys, okay? So right here, I'm actually recording. As you can actually see right here is actually my face, and I'm actually going to step back and basically take you around. This right here is my actual studio. As you guys can actually see, it's like a 1-bedroom type thing. And I only have about 2 bedrooms. I should add that. And basically, this is the bathroom. I'm not going to show you that. This is the living room, which is actually a mess right now, but it's a small little living room for the most part. You have the kitchen, which is also a mess. I'm a guy, so I just leave all the cabinets always open. It's like my rule. And I also have my bedroom, which I won't show you, but it's basically 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and also like a balcony. And for that, I'm basically paying about $160 a month, or the equivalent of 9,000 pesos. As far as electricity and water, I don't pay those here. And also, for example, I do pay though gas, which is like every 6 months, like maybe like 40 bucks or like 20 bucks or whatever. And then I also have my internet bill and my phone bill. I have 2 phone bills, one in the US and one over here because I want to keep my number. In the US, I pay $6, and over here, I pay about $21 for my phone bill, and my internet bill is about $50, okay? So I don't spend that much money on utilities. My food, though, if I wanted to eat at home, I could spend like $200 a month. But I like going out and eating, okay? So I would say I would spend about like $500 a month on food, okay? Then you also have, for example, my entire like transportation. I use my mom's car, and if I didn't use her car, I would just buy my own car and I would pay cash for it. But just on gas, I spend about $250. Gas here is almost about 300 pesos per gallon. It's about like $5.30, something like that, okay? The US is like $3.50. It's almost like 60% higher here for gas. And here, you do end up driving a lot more because most things where I live, they're a lot further away. And you can tell that because basically, I don't pay that much money in rent. Thus, where I live, it's not like a fancy place. It's like where I actually grew up, okay? And that's basically why. But overall, guys, I spend a total amount of about $995 a month living here. And if I actually wanted to cut back and just basically eat at home, I would spend about like $695. But overall, it's still less than $1,000. Now, is this realistic? The answer is not really. I spend a little bit more, because I do take about 5 to 10% of my money to just like buy things on Amazon and just like have more fun. If I do want to travel, I do travel every now and then, and that's also a cost. Okay, so all these things do factor in, but for the most part, I could easily just live here on less than $1,000. Now, there are some things that I basically like, and there are some things that I don't like, okay? Something I do like is basically I do have hired help here in my home, okay? So I do pay for someone to come in the house and basically do my laundry and clean the house. That's about $40 a month. I am not kidding. However, though, it depends on where you live. If you live somewhere else, you would actually be paying close to like about $200 or $150 or $300. But where I live, I just pay $40. I also have someone come like once a week to actually do my meal preps for me, and that's about $90 to $100 every single month. I'm telling you, okay? Is something I do like. The labor here is cheaper, but it's only cheaper when you compare it relative to what it would actually cost you in the US, but you're not living in the US, so it's not cheaper, it's normal, all right? It takes a while to get that in your head, but it is the truth. Now, there are some things that I don't like about living here that I actually see a lot more frequently now that I have been here for like a year, okay? So, number one, at least where I live, everything is really far away. So if I want to go to the movies, if I want to go to a restaurant, it's like at least a 40 to an hour drive. I don't like that, okay? I could fix that by living somewhere else, but I do like where I live, okay? So it's like, I don't like it, but I'm not really willing to change it at this very moment right now, okay? Now, number two, prices of US brands are a lot more expensive, okay? So I basically go to the grocery store sometimes in the capital. If there's like a Price Mart, like the equivalent of Costco. And if you're gonna buy something there, like to buy strawberries that are packaged and like things that are packaged like in US branding, it's like at least like almost like 100% markup sometimes I feel, okay? Because it's so much more expensive, okay? Things that have labels are so much more expensive when they come from the US, okay? Now, I could easily get around this just by buying just like the local stuff, and that's basically it. But even things like fruits are more expensive. Things like meats are more expensive. Food overall is just more expensive here in the Dominican Republic, especially if you want to get quality foods and so on, okay? So keep that in mind. Number three, people here drive like crazy, and I really mean that. So you have a lot of people that drive motorcycles here, so it can be dangerous. And I do think it's like one of the places where you have like the most deadly accidents. Like just like in this 1 year, I think I've seen actually 2 bodies on the floor, like that people have not made it back home, okay? So that does happen. I have gotten a lot more better at driving, and it's a mix between being defensive and also aggressive. So you get used to it. But when you come from the US where things are a little bit more organized to here, you have to get used to how people drive here. And you do get better at it. And if you can drive here, you can drive literally anywhere on this planet, even in India. Now, number 4 is you have to learn how to negotiate, because here prices are just not fixed, okay? Especially when people think you come from the US, they will ask you for more money because they think that you don't actually know about anything, okay? So you have to negotiate even when something seems like a good deal, because there's always room for negotiation, okay? It's just how the culture is here. You have to negotiate, or if you don't, you will be taken advantage of, okay? Now, number 5, I think, if you want to buy stuff on Amazon, it will cost you more money. So I actually have to call like a courier here. I use Domex, that's what it's called. And when I buy things on Amazon, it arrives at Miami. From Miami, they receive it and they bring it here. Per pound, I'm paying about like 250 pesos, or the equivalent of almost about like $4.50, okay? So if I order something that's like 2 pounds, automatically I'm paying like $9 extra just to receive it, okay? Even though Amazon shipping might be free, it's not free to actually get it over here. That's kind of crazy. So you do miss that, but it is what it is, okay? Then you also have, for example, there is a massive difference when it comes to poverty here, because poverty here is not like poverty in the US, okay? In the US, you're poor, you just can't buy certain things, okay? But here, you're poor, and you might be starving, okay? So you do see this drastic difference from poor areas where people are basically like starving, things are not good, and rich areas where people basically have everything. You do see these highly differentiated things, okay? Also, one big thing is you never really feel safe to walk out at night, okay? So that's just maybe where I live and where I go around. But even like in the rich areas, for example, unless you live like in a massive closed neighborhood, for the most part, it's usually not safe to be walking out at night because you do have, for example, petty theft and robberies and so on. But it doesn't mean it's like not safe. You can still drive around, it's fine, but you have to be vigilant, okay? That's I don't want to scare you, but it's just what it is, okay? When you have poverty and you know, things happen in the U.S., you know, but when I lived in the Bronx, for example, in a very dangerous place, I walked anytime, you know, I just never really felt like at risk. Maybe that was just because I got used to it. But here, for example, it's different, you know, it's just a little bit more different because walking at night, it's just a little bit strange, right? So you got to be very careful for the most part, and I don't recommend it. Getting paid for accidents and so on. I had like a car accident here. Somebody hit me, and it's like a problem to get paid and to get people to pay you. Most things, like things are resolved like without really using insurance because most people actually don't have insurance. Okay, so keep that in mind. And by the way, things are more expensive as far as like when you eat out because there is like an 18% tax when you eat things out. You know, like sales or whatever. Like when you're dining or whatever. And there's also like a 10% sometimes like a manual like what's it called, a manual tip. So you might be looking at it easily, like you go out to buy something and you're paying an extra 28% automatically, like between taxes and tip that are actually mandatory, and you have no negotiation room around them. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Now there are some things that I have not done here that I should have done. And those are actually, I haven't gotten health insurance yet, and I should get it 100%. I've been a little lazy with that, but I am looking at getting health insurance. If you guys are interested in a video about that, like the best health insurance to actually get in the Dominican Republic, let me know, and I'll make a video on that. On top of that, also, I haven't paid taxes yet, so I don't know what that experience is actually like, but that is coming up for next year. So when that does happen, I'll tell you more about that too. And lastly, guys, you know, the question is, you know, Tommy, you live here for cheaper. There are things you like. There are some things you don't like. I've kind of like highlighted those, you know, because I'm being honest, but would you actually, are you going to keep living here? The answer is absolutely. You know, for me, Dominican Republic is home, and home is not perfect. And even when I lived in the U.S., in the Bronx, or I lived in Puerto Rico, or I lived, for example, in the British Virgin Islands, there's nowhere, man, where things are going to be perfect. It is never perfect. But here, for example, I love my culture. I love my people. I love my friends, I love my family, I love where I live, you know, but there are some cons that you kind of just have to take it with like what it is, you know. So for the most part, I'm not really going anywhere for this very moment right now. I'm pretty happy where I'm at, okay? And I can't really talk about, for example, the educational system, because you can say, for example, well, education here sucks, you know, but it really doesn't. You know, I know people here that are 10 times smarter than people that I knew in the US, and there's also, for example, private school, and there's also like great help. So for the most part, I don't think you're really going to be missing out on anything here. And I do think that if you come here, if you're not really careful with your budget, you will end up spending a lot more money because it is easier to spend more money. And there is one last drawback, okay? So for me personally, here where I live, you do end up having to walk around with cash most of the time, okay? Because cash is basically king. Some places you go to, they don't take card, you know? And that doesn't really happen like in Punta Cana or like the capital, but in some places, like, you do have to have cash at all times. So always carrying around cash is like super important. But for the most part, I like it here, man. It's been a year and it's nice. I like it. Would I buy a place here? Not for the next year or 2 years or 3 years potentially, while I see things around and I know exactly where I want to live. Last time I lived in Puerto Rico, I bought a home way too early. And I'm not thinking about buying a home right now because the rents are kind of like cheap. Even if I tried to move to the capital, I would pay like 25,000 pesos, or the equivalent of about like $500 or so, which will push my cost of living a lot higher because I will have to pay for other things there. But it's still low enough where it wouldn't justify me actually buying a home just for the sake of having a home, okay? So that is that, okay? But guys, thanks for watching this video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified. If you want more content like this, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll actually get to work. As always, Long-Term Team officially out. Thank you for the people at Patreon that actually support us. If you want to join us on Patreon and get exclusive content, the link is down below. Here are the folks at Patreon. Up here's another video. Over here's my face. And as always, Long-Term Team officially